Now that we understand that we need to look at the hardware and software, let's actually take a look at some commands that we can use on the router in order to analyze what's going on there. And the first thing we're going to look at is what's sometimes called the SHIP protocols, really because of a typo in some Cisco objectives. But SHIP is really show IP. And there are several subcommands to that. So let's go ahead and exit the logon screen and enter into the router. And if we type sh space IP, you'll see there SHIP, and hit enter, it tells me it's an incomplete command. But there are several commands we can use here. So if I type it all out, show IP, question mark, you'll see that you can look at several things. You can look at access lists. You can look at the ARP table for the Address Resolution Protocol, Border Gateway Protocol information, BGP, DHCP, EIGRP, interface commands, NAT, NBAR for network-based application recognition, OSPF protocols, which we'll look at momentarily, RIP, route, and SSH. These are all subcommands of the show IP command. So to verify routing and see how routing protocols are set up on the router, use the show IP route command. And you'll notice that it also has subcommands. So you can look at just EIGRP information or OSPF information, connected routes, BGP information, RIP routes, or static routes. So if I want to know, well, just show me the connected routes, now I can see that I have two. I'm connected to the 10.10.11 network and the 10.10.12 network with 24-bit subnet masks. So I know I'm connected to both of those networks. I can use the static command and it would show me any static routes. I have none on this router. Now I know I'm using EIGRP on this router, but I really want my router to tell me that rather than me just knowing it. So I'm going to type the show IP route command by itself. Notice as a reminder that we have here word after show IP route. So we can specify a network to learn information about it. So we can actually put in 10.10.11.0 for example. But notice down here we have a carriage return. That means you don't have to do any of these subcommands. So to back up just a bit, if you type show IP question mark, notice in this case there is no word, so I can't just give it a network, and there's no carriage return at the end. So I can't just type a carriage return and use the command. I must execute show IP and one of these subcommands. So what we're going to do is use the protocols subcommand. Now if we hit a question mark, notice carriage returns all we have. That means this is now a complete command and there are no other options on this router. So I'll hit enter, and this gives me information. Now as I said, I knew that I was using EIGRP, so when I want to verify routing, I can use the show IP protocols command, and it will tell me though that I'm using EIGRP. And notice that it's an autonomous system of one. And we can see information about filtering and flags and maximum hop counts and so forth. We can see that auto summary is turned on. The maximum path is 4. And this particular router is routing for the networks of 10.10.11 and 10.10.12. Now that's where we typed that connected command, remember? But that's not where that comes from. That comes from my configuration of EIGRP, you'll remember. And we'll talk more about that when we look at EIGRP issues and troubleshooting and so forth. We can see that the information sources, where am I getting information about routes available on the network from? Well, I'm getting them from 10.10.11.1 and 10.10.12.2. So I know that's where I'm getting it from. Now let me type here show IP interface brief. And what I want you to notice is that I am connected to the 10.10.11 network and the local interface is 10.10.11.2. You see that? That's the local interface. But notice I'm getting information from a source of 10.10.11.1. Now what does that mean? Well, it means my gigabit Ethernet 0/1, which has an IP address of 10.10.11.2, is connected to another router that is on 10.10.11.1. In the same way, notice right here, 10.10.12.1 is my local IP address. My source of routing information is 10.10.12.2. So as you can see, I can get some very valuable information from the show IP protocols command, and this is one of the ways that we verify routing.